MetaMask announces integration with Apple Pay, but what does this really mean for you? Because at first glance, it seems as though this is going to be the massive information and the bullish sign we've been looking for that's going to cause mass adoption into the crypto space, right? Well, I would second guess that and would say that there's some subtlety going on underneath that we should discuss and what that really means before your gains and before you decide to connect these two services. So as I had said, MetaMask announces the integration into Apple Pay. The article right here actually goes into it in a little bit deeper, and as we can tell through reading it, which is a case for always reading the information and not just the headlines, is that it will be one-sided when it first is started. You will only be purchasing into the crypto space. You will not be purchasing real-world assets with your cryptocurrency. So the massive adoption we were looking at is no longer applying here, but it is a start in the right direction. Although at first it will be much smaller than it would appear, it's going to be starting on a MasterCard plan, and it will be at $400 for Ethereum, which really isn't much, but as I had said, it is a start and in a direction. But is it the direction we all want to go? The whole reason I'm making this video is not for the announcement itself, and by all means, I hope you come across this in all normal streams of articles, but I wanted to talk about the subtle information underneath that lies there that we should be cautious about and should take another look at. And I actually came across this on a Reddit subforum that illuminated the whole concept of a very subtle way for KYC to be integrated without you even knowing it. Now, KYC is Know Your Customer and is a set of rules that is usually implemented onto banking and regulation through the US government. I imagine it is throughout most of the world in many of the banking organizations out there. It is probably a mandate from IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and it would be a way to track your assets and what you're purchasing. Now, it may not be the quite railway we've been looking at for the possibility of people stopping your transactions from happening, but the first step in knowing what your transactions are is kind of the connection to centralization that a lot of us have been looking to remove ourselves from. If we want to be part of decentralized nature, by default, it means that it's nobody's business and we want to be kind of left to our own devices. Honestly, if you think about it, it really isn't anyone's business. And KYC is a bit of an abrasive sort of method of finding out what you are doing with your money and really no responsibility of anyone's out there. But will this actually be integrated into the Apple Pay? This I do not know for sure, and it is a bit of speculation at this point because honestly, we do not know how this connection has been made. But what I will say is that Apple in the past has had some arguments and some resistance to authorities when it comes to giving over information. The other side to the coin is that when you go to fill out generally your standard credit card forms and all the disclaimers when you're accepting the terms and conditions, you're signing your life away in that they can actually give your information to most people. And I have read through some of those disclosures because I'm very heavy into credit cards. I like borrowing money and I like borrowing it for cheap. Not necessarily all the case with credit cards, but I digress. When you are doing that information and signing away your life, you actually quite often give them the right to sell and use your information in any way they please. So this is something, first off, you should think about before signing any disclosure or terms and conditions without wanting to read it and know that there's the potential for this to happen, but potentially you are already signing away your information the minute you integrate these two. And as decentralization is a key part to crypto for a lot of people, I thought this was something to sort of PSA about and put the information out there that it is something to think about if you are concerned about that. Personally, I will not integrate it. I don't actually use Apple Pay because I don't really like it being as centralized as it was. And honestly, it's a service that I probably have no reason to integrate with because there's already plenty of things out there. The convenience is not enough for me, but it does raise an interesting question about convenience and mass adoption that will probably have to come through traditional routes. It will have to have some connection to centralization in some capacity because this is what people know and this is the usual method of doing business that they are used to. So as we know, crypto is already a slightly complicated situation. It is working its way to becoming user-friendly, but if it is going to get more adoption and sooner, it will likely need these sort of integrations to make that happen faster. But again, I think there's always a subtle underlying subtext or even a secondary subnote that people aren't even thinking about that can be a negative side effect of this ease of use. And it's something you should consider about with anything you integrate with, especially when it comes to your wallets, your finances, and anything involved in your personal life. So take a second look at the situation and really address it before you jump on board. Like I said, personally, I will not be getting involved with it if I can avoid it, but who knows? We will see how that goes if Uncle Sam shows up at my house with an M16. Before I moved on, I wanted to give a shout out to this Reddit post, which I actually came across it on the R cryptocurrency subreddit, which is a great place for information. I didn't do all of my research there because it is filled with a lot of banter back and forth about FUD and FOMO and just people generally trolling around. So occasionally I do come across good gems and I do appreciate it here. And it really is summed up in these first few posts here by these young, fine gents. This is some very subtle KYC, and this was the first tick that came off in my head. And for sure, sadly, adoption beats privacy, I guess. Now, that statement alone should be pretty much the whole sum up of this video and what is happening in this situation. Adoption will be trumped by it. It is just too easy for people to easily do that. And when it comes to ease of use, it almost wins every time because privacy and freedom come at a price. So, I would like to know what your thoughts are on this situation. So please leave a comment down below if you have anything to elaborate on this, if you think it's really all just being too much FUD, or if you think that this is a good thing and this is something we should push for more, and whether or not you will actually be using it. I'd like to know how many of you actually are out there who just want to throw in and get down and starts purchasing with some Apple Pay products. So let me know in the comments below, and this is the part where if you found any value in this, you can help out the channel by liking and subbing. But if you didn't, then don't do either. It doesn't really bother me, although it is appreciated if you do. And with that said, I hope to see you in the next video.